Hello, everybody. It's me again. I want to talk about another book of mine, Lazarus, a novel written by the one and only Kevin Montez. Now, it's quite a big book. That's actually. It's how many pages? It's. Oh, I don't number my pages. How stupid of me. It's quite a thick book, as you can see. Now, this is about Lazarus, the one that died. And when he was told he died, Jesus wept. We know this story, the shortest verse in the Bible. And Jesus wept. So, what happened after that is very little is known. But what is known is that he was dead for 4 days. Okay? And in those 4 days, he went somewhere. Wasn't okay, he went into the Abraham's bosom, which we know, which was called paradise. And he was raised on the fourth day. Right? And then the Pharisees tried to hunt him down and kill him. This is fact. They wanted Lazarus dead because he could prove the hereafter. He could prove what happens after a man dies. Not only that, he could prove that Jesus is God, basically. So this story it's a novel, it's fiction, but you call it biblical fiction because I've taken fictitious license here in making a story about what happened, how he hid away from the Pharisees and how he went around the country teaching the world about Jesus and what happened when he met. I think he meant, I'm trying to remember my story now. He interviewed, when he was down there, he met David, Abraham, and I can't remember who else. Who else did he meet? Sorry, I wrote this book a long time ago. That's why I can't remember. But he met. Did I have? No, I don't have an index here. He went down to paradise and he met. He spoke to David, Abraham. I can't remember who there was a third person. I can't remember who the third person was. Anyway, that's what that book's about. So it's just a novel, as I say, but it's very, very good read. You must read it. But today I want to talk to you about Adam and Eve. Now, this is a thing that not many people talk about because there's not much historical fact about it. Right? But if you read Genesis, it says, in the beginning, God created Adam and Eve, male and female created he them. All right. Now, this is before Eve was born. Okay. So, what happened was, for a while, we don't know how long, but for a while, Adam had no wife. Okay. So what Adam did was God brought all the animals before him and choose a wife amongst all the animals. The chimpanzees, the orangutans, the monkeys, whatever. And there was no one suitable for him. Now, this is the point that I believe. I do not believe that Adam looked like this. Okay? I believe Adam had a male and a female. He was two-faced. Adam had a male and female, and he had a woman on the side of him sharing the same head. This doesn't sound impossible because in heaven we know that surrounding the throne there's a being with four heads. Okay, so in the beginning when Adam and Eve God created them because they were two in one body. Adam and Eve were one body. Okay, two spirits but one body. And when no one was found suitable, God put Adam to sleep and took something away from his side. That's not his rib. That is a mistranslation. It basically means from his side. So God took Eve out of his side. Okay? and put them both into a deep sleep. And when Adam woke up, he saw Eve for the first time, because obviously, because she was on his side, he couldn't see her. And then we all know the story about they walked around. Now, this is where a lot of people say they were naked. They weren't naked. This is my interpretation again. They didn't have. I believe they didn't have blood in their veins. I believe they had light, God's light, the eternal light, the powerful light that can't be measured. It was a booming light, and I believe that in their veins they had light, not blood, and in their heart was light, full of light, and all the light emanated through their bodies and shone, that their bodies were not naked, but were illuminated with this haze around them. That's my belief. Okay, you're free to disagree with me if you want, but that's what I believe. And when Eve sinned, when Eve ate of the fruit, nothing happened. Okay, why? Because God told Adam, not Eve. He told Adam. Now Adam was sitting right next to Eve. She was sitting there when Satan said to her, has God said? Adam, I have no idea what he was doing, but he was sitting right next to Eve. And he heard this conversation, and she took a bite of the fruit, and she turned to her husband who was with her, and he too did eat. Now, why did he eat? This is the biggest question. Why did he say, hey, woman, don't put that down right now? Why didn't Adam just listen to his heart and say no? But this is the problem. He did listen to his heart because he was scared that if he forbid her, he'd lose her. And I think he didn't want to lose Eve, and he wanted to keep her. So that's why he said, "Oh, okay, if she didn't die, let me eat too." And when he ate, the light in him and in her congealed, and sin entered the world. Now sin became blood, okay, because Adam's light disappeared, and that congealed light became blood, and his body started to fill with blood, and Eve's body filled with blood, and when their feet touched the ground became cursed with the blood of Adam and Eve. That is why they had to offer up a blood sacrifice. There was only a blood sacrifice was offered. Only a blood sacrifice would be acceptable to God. Now, in the 21st century, in 2026, we're already in the second quarter of the 21st century. We think, oh, shame, poor animals. Oh, shame. I don't want to kill an animal to eat the meat. Oh, no, you can't kill animals. Oh, shame, chickens are so cute. That's just the way. I myself, my father, I'm a gypsy, right? So when we used to have Easter, they used to kill a pig and kill a sheep, a lamb. And luckily we didn't see it, but my dad used to do it every Easter. Well, the family used to do it every Easter. They would sacrifice a lamb, a sheep, cut its throat, let the blood drain, skin the sheep, and put it on a spit. So we had the lamb and we had the pig. My dad did that for many years until obviously he died in 1981. So when I was 21, he died. So that's why every time we have God said there must be a blood sacrifice. Okay. Without the shedding of blood, there's no remission of sins. So that basically puts it straight in a nutshell. Without the shedding of blood, there will be no remission of sin. Okay, so that is why Jesus had to offer up his blood. Now, this is what a lot of people don't know. When Jesus died and he rose on the third day, Mary came to him and he said, touch me not, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. Why did he say that? Please, people, because he was whatever, bull dust. There's a lot of because he had to take his blood to heaven, and he took his blood to heaven, and he put his blood. They could read Hebrews about this, and he put his blood on the mercy seat. He took it. Now there's a mercy seat on earth, and there's a mercy seat in heaven. And every year on Passover, on the day, the high priest would slaughter an animal, and take its blood and put his blood on the mercy seat. And then Jesus took his blood into heaven and put it on the mercy seat in heaven. And then he came down to earth with his glorified body. Okay, and he was here for 40 days. Now, when he had his glorified body, he could move at the speed of thought, not the speed of light, the speed of thought, because he became. This is he became light again. Instead of the blood in his veins, his veins became light again, and he could travel through objects. He could travel through animate objects. He could do things that humanly we can't do. That's why his light the light in him was shone so bright again. That's my interpretation. My belief proved me wrong with the greatest of pleasure. I studied the Bible for 50 years, and that's what I believe. I believe that when we die, and we get out, well, not now, but when we die physically, because we don't die spiritually, we don't die. As a born-again Christian, we do not die. This is what we do not die. The second our physical body dies, we are instantly, at the blink of an eye, in the presence of God. The angels come, boom, we go. So we don't even know we die. I mean, really. And I actually envy my friends who have died. I was talking to someone the other day, and I said, what's happened to all the other people? He says, Kevin, they're all gone. Now, I'm 66. Now, 66 in my day, when I was young, was old. I mean, I see some people. I saw this one woman getting a facelift at 63. I said, my gosh, she looks like she's 80, you know. I mean, I live in an old age, well, it's not really an old age home, but they call sheltered accommodation. And the average age here is 80, around about 80. And a lot of the women are in their almost 90. I think there's a few women in their 90s. But they fit, they walk around. I think it's because of the social. You know, I lived in a kibbutz for a year, or 9 months, whatever it was. And at the post office, we had our own post office in a kibbutz. Azareo we had our own post office. And there was a woman, I used to tease her. Oh, she spoke like us. And then someone told me that she was a survivor of the Holocaust. Dr. Mengele. No, she was a survivor of Dr. Mengele. What he did was he wanted to see if she could survive with one liver and one lung. One kidney and one lung, and they took it out of her. And she was a bitter woman, but I understand why she was a bitter woman. But when I heard that, I stopped mocking her. Shame, man. No one has the right to live like that or be picked on. I mean, she was a single woman. She was an old woman, but I don't think she was married or anything. Now, that is on the kibbutz. This is what I'm trying to say. On the kibbutz, there's a social life. So people meet and chat, and because you're active, you're not in a kibbutz. You don't retire. There's no retirement. Actually, I think a lot of the reports of kibbutzim are closing down and becoming moshavs. Moshavs, I can't remember. Farms. They're becoming capitals farms. Because I know that I wanted to go visit Chazarea recently. Well, when I say recently, about 10 years ago, I wanted to go to Chazarea just to visit. And apparently they've stopped the kibbutz. They have stopped the ulpan there now and volunteers. So it was very sick because out of all the kibbutzim in Israel, I was at the bottom of Mount Carmel where Isaiah had killed the false prophets of Baal. Oh gosh, that's another story. And I lived just below it, and around the corner, within a kilometer from where I lived, was Megiddo, the plains of Megiddo. Ugh, I was stupid. 27 years old. I remember driving. One of the guys there, he mocked me for being a South African. He teased me, but I think secretly he liked me because he took me everywhere. I mean, he said, "Come, Kevin, come." He took me to the theater, took me to movies, he took me to the opera, he took me to Once I went to a symphony. He took me for a drive. So he used to mock me, but I think he really liked me. I actually thought I think about it now. I think he actually really liked me because we could talk. We could talk like gentlemen, you know. He would talk about apartheid South Africa. This is '87, so before Mandela was out and all that kind of stuff. And we would talk and have big discussions. His mother was actually our teacher in the Ulpan. And I forget what his name was, but he was look, he took me, and when he took me around, one day he took me past Megiddo, and I saw the sign Megiddo, and I thought, oh, we're around the corner from Armageddon. So what happened was one day I was watching television. This was '87, right now. They call it the first Intifada. Happened at that time, and what happened was the Muslims, the Arabs, started striking and killing and fighting and bombing and all that kind of stuff. And I was watching the news on television. Now, strangely enough, when you in Israel, you have mostly Israel, but you have Jordan. Now, Jordan's right next door, and Jordan have had an English TV station which I used to watch, and they had this. They showed the map on the TV of Israel, and all the countries around Israel, and how all of them were picking on and shouting and stabbing and fighting with Israel. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, Armageddon's going to happen soon. Let me get out of here. And a couple of days after that, I arranged for my ticket back to South Africa. I was stupid. I shouldn't have. I mean, I used to speak Hebrew fluently. That was a stupid decision I made by leaving when I did. Anyway, it's fine. It happened. It's done. It's gone. But I learned a lot. I loved Israel. I mean, I remember driving past on the bus, driving past Jerusalem, and I looked out the window. I got a shock of my life because I saw this whole face of this whole skull in the side of a mountain. Place of the skull. I said, wow, that looks really like a skull. And then I went to the Gate Beautiful, which is called the Jaffa Gate. Not the Gate Beautiful, because I thought the Gate Beautiful was the Jaffa Gate. Jaffa in Hebrew means beautiful. But I thought it was Jaff, but they call it the Jaffa Gate. So I thought that was the Gate Beautiful, but apparently I'm wrong. It's not the Gate Beautiful. Because Jaffa in Hebrew means beautiful. So anyway. So, that's it. Go to Amazon right now. Look up Amazon. Look, I'm becoming quite popular on Amazon because my books were moving, thankfully. But I've also got a pen named Joy Martin, which was my mother's name. And those novels are the ones that I just... Okay, I put them for free for a week. And there's a trilogy, 3 books. And, they've 1,000, I think of 1,700 copies of... We call it sold, but it's not sold. And then pages read, a whole thing like that, which is it's a great thing on Amazon. But it promotes my books, basically. So that's it. So anyway, guys, I'll chat to you later. Have a good one. Jesus loves you.